Good day to all you glorious rascallion bastards. The name's FOXSOL. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to some more WutheringWaves. I hope you're having a good day wherever you're at. Today's video conversation topic is going to be that of min-maxing. And straight up, I'm going to say that in WutheringWaves, there's no need to min-max, and I'll tell you why. So, grab yourself a drink. Let's sit down and let's party. So, I've had a conversation with several different people so far, and in this conversation, it had came up to where with characters in general that we should be mid-maxing every single character that we have on our teams. And I'm like, why? Because you want to get the, the most optimal builds and everything else for each of your characters. I'm just like, dude, just throw some echoes that roughly going to help out, generally just throw that on there and just make it to where you're only working relatively only on your main DPS. They're trying to claim in the argument that we're having that mid-maxing your entire team is the way to go, not just working on specific like 3 DPS characters, that you should be mid-maxing your entire team. And all honesty, I think that's the dumbest approach that could be done. And I even said it like that. I think that's the dumbest approach. Well, how you play the game there, Fox? Well, straight up is I'm just working on I need 3 teams, 3 DPSs. All my resources, because of how limited this game has in resources, all of it goes to the DPSs. Like, legitimately, I am not going to be worried about making any of my other team, I'm not going to worry if my healer's going to be optimizing and straight up and just healing the fortes or anything. I got echoes, I got characters in here, like legitimately that I am using, like Tao, that I'm not even bothering doing anything with. That her only job is because of this skill right here is for Chang Li, is I want the incoming resonator to have 30% amplification on their skill damage. I was working to where now, Baichi, we've built her up. We're getting her up there. We're focusing, on a little bit of min-maxing in a sense. But in the beginning, it's like, I'm focusing all my attention on one character. That's a DPS. Focusing all my attention on one character, the DPS. Then after I focus all my attention, then I start working on the supportive characters, the sub DPSs and everything else. Otherwise, I'm just throwing a bunch of echoes on them with raw stats to do one thing and one thing only. Make sure that they have a lot of health, they're there to survive, and just to be useful enough for their outro skill. Otherwise, the only character on this entire team that needs any kind of mid-maxing is the DPS, not the entire team. The entire team can wait later. Like, I just want my sub DPS and my support to be just useful enough to just be able to take a hit. They're tanks. They're just pieces of equipment at that point. The DPS is the one that's doing the damage. The DPS is the one that is getting all the resources first. Everyone else gets their stuff after the fact. And then, quote unquote, I always consider that in any which way, shape, form, its own version of mid-maxing. I was told that I was wrong. That is not mid-maxing. That is just you being stupid. Okay, well, I guess I'm being stupid then, because the thing is that in WutheringWaves and versus like, min-maxing in an RPG like Dark Souls or something like that, I'm building a strength build. So you know what? I'm going to prioritize my strength build. I'm going to prioritize strength and dexterity over other fashions, other, stats in the game. In here, I'm not looking at, my sub DPS doing damage. I'm not looking at my sub DPS being any supportive relation to doing damage, except for one thing and one thing only, is they already have unlocked, which is their outro skill. So in each and one of my teams, in a sense, Chang Li is my DPS. I got a healer. The Bai Z right here, Bai Chi right here is the character that I just started actually working on their skills to make them go ahead. But that was much later in the process. Tao is still level 80. Originally, Tao was level 50. I put her up to level 80 and she was last on the list. But I haven't built her up or anything. Her job is just to come on the screen, have a bunch of echoes that lets her take a hit if necessary. Because if I can't dodge at the right time, she can still at least take a hit from a level 100 crownless. Okay? Her entire goal is just to sit there, build up energy, switch over, and give the buffs to Chang Li. Done. When it comes into this scenario, Jian's the same thing. My Jianshi is not built up. My Jianshi has no mid-maxing involved. All she's got is pure fucking health and defense. Her job is to pop a shield and to pop the buff for her for the alt and to pop on consistent healing every 6 seconds for 30 seconds onto Jian. And it works. The team with Jinshi right here. In all honesty, with Jinshi, I had originally with this team. Again, another level 80 that was in here that I haven't done with Mortify. With Mortify.
Get this done.
Again, straight up, same principle. His job is just to go ahead, hit his skill, hit his outro, and swap over to Jinshi to help build the incandescence on her faster. He's not doing damage. He's not doing anything other than to buff Jinshi. Like, I don't see the point in WutheringWaves to have my entire team being mid-maxed. I would say you mid-max, if anything, just your DPS, but not your entire damn team. Like, you're going to be focusing all of your resources on one character. And in this game, you need 3 teams. If you're going to do Tower Diversity, that is where you're going to be at. You're going to need 3 teams. And look, I think we all agree the resources in the game right now at this point to go ahead and level up characters, to get their skills going, it's a grind and a half. And future wise, that's just going to get better. But right at this point in time in the game, in version 1.1, going into version 1.2, we're getting the issue to where resources are vastly limited for characters. I mean, it's hard to get gold, straight up, the gold materials that you need to finish off a level 10 on a skill. Why would I be focusing on not building up the character that's doing the most damage and just make the support and the sub, just do enough in a sense by just being there, just hop on some echoes, raw stats, don't care as long as it straight up is just, health benefit and defense benefit, so that way they pop they just do their job. They pop out their outro skills. That's all I want. I want my healer to heal. If I can, later on make him heal better, that's great, but I'm looking at their outro skill mostly. Oh, it's going to give me damage amplification. Great. I'm looking at my sub DPS. They're not doing damage, but they can give me a boost of 38% to my resonant skill damage. Guess what? That's what I want. I want to make sure she ain't doing damage. She's doing 200, 100. Like, she ain't doing nothing. Because that's not her job. That's her job. Her job is to make sure this resonant skill has got a 38% buff. Why am I worried about mid-maxing my entire team? Long term, they're going to get there. They're going to be built up. If I keep these characters on and I don't change the team, they're going to benefit. So I'm just saying, I don't think in all honesty, whatever, like there is a point in mid-maxing your entire, teams. Save the resources, use the resources on your DPS, only focus on your DPS being the one that you are going to straight up be working with anyway, majority of the time. Mid-max them, max them out, get them going. Don't worry about your support. Don't worry about your sub DPS. Just throw on echoes level up the echoes. Don't care about what the stats is, you know, sub stats. Only care about really the main stats on those, the raw stats, and you're good to go. You're done. That's it. Like, we don't have to over complex this game. It's a single player game here. It's PvE. We're not doing like a PvP build here. You know, we're not worried about like in Dark Souls where I need to mid-max because I'm going to have invaders and other things that's going to end up happening in my world. So I want to have the best build there is. I'm just looking to efficiently make it to where my DPS is going to get the best benefits. I mean, go watch one of my videos, how I build my supports, how I build my sub DPSs. You can see it. I've already done it. It is straight up, they are tanks. Their job is only for one purpose and one purpose only. When it's a brand new character that I know that I'm not really caring for because I know that they're going to be replaced with someone better in the future, there's no point in mid-maxing. There's no point in building them up anymore when future-wise, there's going to be a better support. Future-wise, it's going to be a better sub DPS. Screw it. Why am I worried? That's where the ecosystem comes involved here, is straight up is give them raw stats of benefiting them enough to, and I guess you could even consider that maybe a point of, you know, maybe I am min-maxing, you know, maybe that, I mean, according to people, I'm not. It's like I'm throwing echoes on them in order to, you know, make sure that my DPS gets their buffs. That's it. Oh no, you're not mid-maxing. You're just being stupid. You're not getting the full benefits of your team by, you know, doing the way you're doing. No, I'm getting the full benefit that I need so that way I can go to the Tower of Adversity and I can go complete the Tower of Adversity. You know, this is how I operate. This is where I'll tell new players, don't worry about mid-maxing an entire team. Just worry about your DPS. Don't worry about your sub. Don't worry about your support. You know, you're starting out in the game. We have time. We can build these characters up in the future. All we should be focusing on, especially if you're a new player, the only thing that should be even focused on is who is going to be the main damage dealer on the team? Who's the DPS? And let's build them up first, foremost, and make them the strongest character in the entire team. The other two, just give them the resources to take a hit. Straight up. Bai Chi has got 30,000 fucking HP. Val's got 19,000, and when I build up her echoes, that's going to be over. When I level up her echoes, that's going to be closer to 27, because all she's got is HP and defensive echoes. Why? Again, just to take a hit, and with the energy regen and everything else to be built on, just to make sure that we can get their ults out a little bit faster, make sure that we can get their skills going out a little bit faster, and make sure that we can swap out to that outro skill. That's it, baby. Nothing more. So yeah, I'm gonna say, in all honesty, is like I said, I think that in some games mid-maxing is actually key. In this, in WutheringWaves, I don't think it's key at all. And if anyone tells you that you need to be mid-maxing your teams and everything else, that all of your teams, because you're not getting the full benefit of this character with this character and such, tell them to shut up. Play the way you want to play, have fun, and don't worry about it. The only thing I would suggest is, like I said, worry about your main DPS, build them up, use the resources on them, make sure they're good to go. And then if you have time later on, and you know, when there's break time because you're waiting for the next update, you've done all the events and everything, and you're just working on getting different XP and different materials, then you start focusing on the sub TPS. Then you start focusing on your healers and stuff like that if you want to, because like I said, new characters are going to come in the game. There's going to be other supports. There's going to be other sub DPSs. It's going to probably work a lot better, you know, in general, with your team leader than you think. So, well, just save the materials for them. Simple as that. All right, I think that's enough. I think that's enough conversation on this. You guys tell me, are you mid-maxing? If so, if you disagree with me and you want to criticize me on it, let me know in the comments below. If you agree with the idea of the way I see how this game should be played, you know, let me know that too. In any case scenario, I think there's multiple ways that this game can be handled. I just think that mid-maxing is not an approach in this game at this point in time. Future-wise, maybe. At this point in time, no, I don't think so. So, until next time, have a good one, guys. And I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.